Welcome to another little session of Painting with Chris. Today I'm going to do a quick little demo on a batik. Everybody always asks me, what is batik all about? So this is not a full class, but I'm going to walk you step by step on how you do it and the materials you need. You need Japanese washi paper. You can get this at any art store. Traced line with, I do a Sharpie so that you can see the colors. You need a little bit of wax paper or freezer paper, and I'll explain that in a minute. You need a hot wax or melting glitter pot and some watercolors. A round brush, I'm using Ruby Satin Silver number 8. And you really need a really bad brush that you don't care about anymore, because that's the one you're going to dip your brush into the wet wax. And once you do that, your brush is done forever, so don't do it with a good brush. So just for the purpose of time, I took my paper here that had the tracing on it, and I laid my washi paper on top, as you can see, and I took an ultra fine Sharpie and I traced the design on my paper. I'm going to remove this. I'm using freezer paper, so I'm laying my freezer paper on top. And what I did is I took the hot wax and I dipped my brush in it, and I just marked off some areas that I didn't want paint to go on, because the wax is going to work as a resist. Okay, so then I put that away, put my wax away, and be careful with your wax because it gets very, very hot. And I just bought one of those cheap melting pot containers, and I took an old can of cat food, and I put it in there so that I know exactly how much I have, and if it overflows, well then, you know, I don't ruin my surface. So let me just straighten this paper out a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna weigh it down with my water container so that I can see where I'm at. Okay, I went ahead and taped my paper a little bit so that you could see. And I'm using my palette here with all my watercolors. You can use any brand you like. I'm using Core by Golden watercolors. And I'm really going to use just a few colors. So I'll put the list on the description. But I'm going to use raw umber. I'm going to use a little bit of black. And for the greens, I'm going to use green gold and chromium green. So let's get started. So as you can see, this paper is a little rough. The back side is smooth, so we're going to paint and draw on the rough side of the paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet my paint and make a little puddle here of the colors that I'm going to use. Right? Rinse my brush, come here and do the same thing. So you can tell that this has more blue in it and this has black in it. And then I'm going to move down here and get my green gold on the side here. And my chromium green. Well, this one, sorry. My chromium green right here. And I'm just going to leave these paints here. And after we paint, I'll decide what color I'm going to do my flower. The good thing about this type of watercolor is that the less water you use, the better off you are. So first thing I'm going to do is I am going to take my, let me see if I can do it this way. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of my, now I'm going to have to do it holding on to it, hold on. I'm going to take a little bit of my gray paint, and I'm just going to rub it on my little bucket. And I'm going to take some water and put it next to it. Pick up a little bit more paint and just go in big strokes. Because this is a real quickie, simple project that you can give somebody as a gift. Right, I'm going to take a little bit of that blue. And I'm going to put it right here on the side to mask this off a little bit. So take a little bit more of that and put it down here. Okay. Put a little bit underneath here, and I'm gonna put some right inside here in the center, right? And right now it doesn't look like much, but when it dries, this is gonna dry a little bit lighter than what we have on the paper. And then I'm gonna do the little handle. And don't worry if this is not perfect, because it's not supposed to be. This is just a quickie little design that we're doing here. And here, what I can't put any paint on, it's because I have wax on it. So see that? No matter how much I scrub, no paint is gonna go on there because I have my wax. Okay, so I have my greens here. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my greens and put them on the bottom here, because that's my little grassy area, right? Pick up a little bit more. And see how cool this is? I mean, there's no scientific method to what I'm doing, but it's super nice and fun to do. So I think I'm gonna paint my flower red. So I like several colors of red, but the one that I am going to use today, because I think it's a little bit is, let's see, we have a few here. Let's pick Quinn red here. Let's see. Okay, that's a pretty dark color. And I am just gonna go on my petals here and just move this out a little bit. And because we have red and it looks kind of weird that we have a red, a green, I'm gonna put a little bit of green in my pot as a little shade. And I'm going to put a little red also in the pot so it looks like a reflection, right? So I will take my green and mix it with a little bit of my red, and I'm gonna put the stem on here, and that's gonna give me like that little brown color. So you don't need a lot of paint and a lot of colors to paint anything. And if you wanted to put a background on this, which is fine the way it is, you don't have to. You could take some manganese blue and just brush a little bit on the back. So now I'm gonna show you how to glue it onto your canvas. So this is a little 6x6 paper that is gonna fit on my canvas. So now, if you see my canvas here, if I lay it down, it's gonna be bigger than the canvas and it's gonna be too square. So what I do is I fold it in half. Let me move my canvas away. And I would love to sit down, but my cat has taken my seat, and every time I move, she jumps on it. So I guess today I'll paint standing up. So I'm gonna just press the edges here, and I'm gonna rip them close together so as to not to lose too much paper. Put that to the side. I am going to do the top also. Get rid of some of that, because you want those little edges to show on your canvas, right? That's what kind of makes it really nice. So now I'm gonna measure again, and I'm just gonna wipe my little freezer paper here a minute so that we don't get any paint on it. Can reuse it a million times. And I'm gonna measure and see if this fits. Let me see. Yes, it does fit perfectly. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some of my golden gel. Let me show you. So I will be using the soft gel. This happens to be the gloss. Most times I use the matte, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't make that much difference. And it's almost like whipped cream consistency. See that? So I will take a big brush and pick some of that out. I take a nice little glob of it, and I start in the middle and brush it all the way to my edges, because I don't want any paper sticking up. And like I said, if you want to do this at home, I have the kit online that you can purchase. It has the paints, the canvas, the drawing, the paper, and obviously you can see the video for free. So you can go to my website at chriscruzdesigns.com, and a lot of my samples I have up there on sale, very inexpensive, so you can add to your collection. So now what I do is I take my paper and I lay it down very carefully and press in the middle and walk it out to the edges. Now it's a little bit too short for my liking, so I'm going to pick it up again. Let's see. Here we go. And I smooth it with my fingers. I take whatever I have left of my gel and I brush the edges of my paper so that those little hairs don't stick up. See that? Now, because this is on my canvas and it has my gel on top, I can come back and do some more coloring on it. Oh, look, and a little bit of red came out there. That looks really good. And give it some detail. Don't forget to close your jar so that it doesn't dry out. Now I rinse my brush before I go into my watercolors again. And I'm going to take my number 8 ruby satin brush again. And I'm going to take some of these colors. And now I'm going to come here on the side and give it some detail, because now there's medium on the back of my paper. And it takes the color a lot easier. This red here, I'm going to take a little bit of that again. And I'm going to just come here on the edges and make that a little darker. See that? Pick up a little bit of my green and make my stem brown. Right? And I can even take some of that little brown and put it on the edge here. So now, with just a little effort, if you want, take a little bit of that red and that green and put a little center on your flower, a little bit of the black, and voila, now you have a work of art. This is the point that if you want to put color in your background, which I wasn't planning on doing, but I'll show you anyway, what I do is I wet the area in which I'm going to put my paint on. And I just drop it and then move it around. Just for a little contrast, but you don't have to do the blue. I just did that so that we had a little contrast in the color. And since we have that in the background, I'm putting some on the pot. But that's it. In 5 minutes, you have a great batik project that you can be proud of and you can give to your friends as a gift. See that? So if you really like this project, give me a thumbs up, please. That's how I know everybody's watching. And if you want to see more of my videos, I have over 60 videos on my channel right now. So just subscribe and you'll be informed of the latest videos coming up.